Oh, evidently the intro video got kicked out, so we're just live now.
We are live.
So
Where's
here we
your
are.
intro?
It is Friday, the 26th of September, 2025, and it looks like September just flew by. Don, we're in fall, and it's just crazy. Pretty soon it'll be Shamrock Shake season. Even though we're in the pumpkin spice season now.
It's never too early for Shamrock Shake season for you, is it, Dwight?
No, I saw somebody told me that, I think it's a myth, that Coke actually had a pumpkin spice Coke at one point.
Now, that's possible. I mean, with all this kind of stuff, there's so many different varieties of stuff that they've tried over the years by all these soda guys. There's no way to keep track of that stuff.
Mm-hmm. I really want them to bring back cherry vanilla Coke. That was the best of their flavor Cokes.
Actually, I think that was a favorite of Warren Buffett. I think that's one of his. I think he liked that. That was his favorite flavor.
Maybe he should have bought Coke so we would still have cherry vanilla Coke.
Yeah, I think he invested a large portion of in that company at one point in time. I mean, he was a pretty big shareholder. I don't know if he still is anymore.
Mm-hmm. I enjoy my Coke shares. I've got a lot, and they do well for me, and that's why I drink Coke, because I am helping myself. I'm giving, just like when I fill up at ExxonMobil or at Shell, I'm giving back to myself. A little bit comes back to me.
There are some things you can do like that. I mean, the great investor Peter Lynch from Fidelity Magellan Fund back in the day. It was He always preached about, like investing in things that and local. And I think, the old days, I think one of his big hits was like Legs Pantyhose, and stuff like that. It just, if you get to know the company and you like it, and it's
I mean,
yeah, but that begs the question: how did he know about Legs Pantyhose?
His wife, Mrs. Lynch.
Yeah, his wife. I don't remember all those.
Cross-dressing.
No, actually, they asked him. So he was asked that on a Good Morning America interview, and he said, "Look, my wife buys it. I asked my daughter, and she goes, yeah. And then he goes, do all your friends buy those too? And he said, yeah. And he goes, if teenagers are buying it, it's a safe bet. I mean, I always try to buy stocks of what I like. I've bought Home Depot because I shop at Home Depot. When I stopped shopping at what was the store that I stopped? Oh yeah, I had shares of Sears and Kmart, but when I stopped going there, I sold those long before the crash. And I got Coke. I've got GM because I buy GM cars. And
you got to have some McDonald's stock, right?
Actually, I don't have McDonald's stock. I don't have McDonald's.
The thing about McDonald's, not to divert into stock questions, but the thing about it is, all my life, I always thought it was too high. Why would I buy that? But the thing is, it still continued to do well, even though it's more of a mature company.
Well, I got I think about maybe 50 shares of Apple years ago, and I thought that was too high. And now that is like, it's split, I think, twice since then.
Wow.
And that was when nobody knew this, before the iPhone. This is back when I was working for you, Don. Actually, I think you may have been the one that told me to buying Apple shares for the 401B that they have for nonprofits.
403B.
Yeah, it's for that. Yeah. But
so yeah, I mean, there are plenty of good companies, and there's plenty of stinker companies. So.
Oh, yeah. Do you remember when the Washington Post had the business section? It was like a pullout. It was like a tabloid. And then
every Monday you could read the business section, and I think once a month they'd cover the law people. There was a law section in there because they spent most of their time covering the antics of Larry Klayman.
Yeah.
Oh yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I mean antics.
Well, Larry Klayman had a lot of antics. He did. He sued his own mother for. So I don't know if it's true, but they said he sued his mother because she didn't take him to the doctor soon enough when he was a kid.
So yeah, let's just say the Tom Fitton era has been much more sane.
Yes. Yes.
Well,
Is Larry still with us? I know
Yes,
it
he
sounds
is.
like a mean
I
question.
think he's living
He's got a
down in
new group.
Florida.
I get emails from him. I don't know how he got my email address, but I get emails from him about his organization. And,
You know, what organization does he have? I mean, I guess he's long gone from Judicial Watch, right?
Oh yeah.
I think it's Judicial Stalking now. He changed the name and started Judicial Stalking.
Yeah, the thing about him, when I saw him at NET, he was always very nice and all, and he always seemed mild-mannered. But
Really?
little did you know.
I Freedom Watch USA. That's his group. He founded that in 2004.
One of the things that used to bug me about Larry, though, is that my father put him on the AIM board of directors, and so Larry would come to the meetings, but he wouldn't pay much attention. He was usually too busy, handling phone calls and leaving the room. Kind of
Wow. Yeah.
Like this is
Not
totally useless.
Not everyone can be a Dr. Ken Campbell. Oh no, Dr.
Well, that was
Kenneth.
AIA's board.
That's Dr. Kenneth Campbell.
That's right.
He did not like to be called Dr. Ken Campbell.
Somebody,
As you know, he also do you remember there was a like Anna didn't put doctor on his name tag, or it said Dr. Ken Campbell opposed to Kenneth Campbell, or it didn't have something on it, and he made a big fuss about it at the registration table.
Look, these academics who earn these PhDs and stuff like that, they get to be kind of snippy a little bit if you leave off the doctor part.
Yeah,
Look, they're very proud of the fact that they've earned some kind of doctorate, and I'm like, fine.
And you're not even a real doctor.
When I was younger, I just didn't I didn't think that was that big a deal, but
yeah, it's like the whole Jill Biden thing, and I wonder if Julius Erving wants to be called Dr. Julius Erving, Dr. J.
Dr. J. That was a great nickname.
Dr. J. Remember Dr. Pepper?
Yeah, and we all know the meme where Dr. Pepper is walking down the street and like Diet Coke falls and like all the soda's pouring out, and he goes, "Maybe I should tell him. I guess I should have told him I'm just a PhD doctor, medical doctor."
For me, the British way was always that a doctor's only a medical doctor.
MD,
nobody else is called doctor, and I think that's the way it should be. I
don't know
why.
lawyers can be doctors too. Is that right, Chris? You get a Juris Doctorate, right? At the end of
You do. That's exactly right. But I think not unlike the British system, it is viewed as a professional degree and there's no title. I've seen people use Esquire, but I don't encourage
pretentious.
That. Yes.
I think it's a little odd, a little I don't know what the word is, pretentious maybe or something. I mean, the thing is, I once worked in a grocery store with a guy I think got a PhD. I don't know. I don't think we called him doctor, but I just don't think it really. I mean, you got lots of PhDs. They're all over Washington.
What was the Saturday Night Live bit where the barber says, "I'm a hair doctor"?
Okay.
He goes, he was a hair doctor. He goes, I want to say, I think it was Chris Rock was the barber, but he insists on having to call him doctor. He goes, "You got skin doctors, you got feet doctors. I'm a hair doctor."
Yeah, that's true.
Well, it's like kind of like, I mean, look, when we got elected to the Central Committee, I started getting, mail, with honorable on it, and I'm like, it's like that. I don't need that.
Well,
It's funny though. You know how in Maryland, like how in Maryland everyone calls you Hun, and especially it's more of a Baltimore County thing.
Yeah.
And I was talking to somebody.
You want to be called Hun? Go to Waffle House.
That's true. Yeah, that's true too.
Those waitresses will call you Hun all the time.
I did a name tag for Ellen Sauer, HON period, Ellen Sauer, because it was a political thing. We could, and somebody actually said, she's not the only Hun in Baltimore, right? I'm like, and they're talking, and I'm like, yeah, I just stay quiet.
Well, I don't mind that. It's just a nice term of endearment, which I think is a very Baltimore-y type of thing, which I think is great.
Hey, don't tell a Georgetown kid about that, because there's a kid I know, well, we know him, Ian, who basically told the barista at Starbucks, "Thanks, Hun, keep the change." and he got in a little bit of trouble because she was also a Georgetown student. She was a snowflake. And
I don't think Hun is best. Not like you said, Toots. Here you go, Toots. Yeah. Here you go, Toots.
I mean, when I was working for ACU, Don, I said Liddy Dole was a nice gal. Patty Pava jumped all over me.
I once dated this girl, and I used a term of endearment like dear or honey, and she got mad. No, didn't like that. Just wanted her first name, and that's it. So, people are odd. So, people are odd.
All right. How about enough of that. How about some news?
Well, I tell you, Don, a couple of things interesting. Let's start with the Pied Piper, as I like to call him, Chuck Schumer. And you got Chris Van Hollen, Angela Alsbrooks, Tim Kaine, John Warner, Mark Warner. I'm sorry, not John Warner. Mark Warner, and they're all going to walk off the cliff with the Pied Piper with this budget. I mean,
it just seems stupid to me. Not to interrupt you, but just it seems stupid to me. It's a fight they're going to lose. Shutdowns never work, and if whoever is perceived as the one pushing it, it's going to be bad news for them. This is obviously Democrats pushing it because they want to add more spending, and they're going to have a shutdown to force more spending, and this is a loser. I think. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think that's political.
My thoughts are this. I could go for a shutdown. I'll tell you why. Less cars on the road. I can get free stuff at, if I show my government badge, I can get free stuff. Remember the last shutdown? Nothing Bundt Cake was giving cakes away to people who were affected by the government shutdown. I wasn't, but it's a free cake,
Well, this one could be unlike any other shutdown. I mean, if it actually happens, and we've got just under 4 days basically left to go here, it's just that with Trump's threat that there'll be mass firings instead of the standard furlough, non-essential workers, all this kind of stuff. You bring them back later on, and then you pay them the back pay. I'm not really crying about this. I'm thinking like, this may be the doziest thing we've seen to date. Is by getting this. If this happens, this could actually be a wonderful thing in the sense of you want to clean up that swamp and reduce the size of government.
Mm-hmm.
Here's your great chance. And I think as David, you're referring to too. It's like the Democrats. I don't know. The Democrats do they really want to go down this road?
I wouldn't think so.
It's a high risk now with Trump.
I think Chuck Schumer is blink.
I think you're right.
And if we do go to shutdown, this is going to be a long shutdown.
Yeah.
I want to say it might go to Thanksgiving.
Yeah. I think the Democrats have backed themselves into this corner because they've been somewhat ineffective. So they need to do something that says they're standing up to Trump. And if this is the line they draw, they've walked into this trap, because I would agree they're going to be blamed for it. And this will be unlike other shutdowns, because I think there will be some permanent decisions made about, well, if we didn't need you during the shutdown, maybe we didn't need to bring you back and pay you back pay. So I do think this could be the dojiest thing that's been done since Trump took office, to identify where we have gaps and then how we're going to maybe look at AI or some other technology to fill that gap rather than bringing everyone back.
Yeah, I agree. And I think I think this started because remember Schumer earlier in the year gave in on some deal budget-wise. He could have pushed for government shutdown. He took a lot of heat from his base, and he's thinking he's up for re-election, I guess, next year. And now he's compensating for doing this now to push for shutdown. And I think his reasoning was smart earlier this year. He was correct in his reasoning. He said, hey, if we have a shutdown, we're going to lose. Trump's going to massively cut. And but now he's going to do the opposite this time because he wants to please the base, it seems to me.
But I tell you,
I think he took a lot of heat, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So now he wants to balance that out, but this is not the way you do it. It's not going to work.
It's a game of chicken they're playing, and I think they lose. I think they blink. I think so. Because here's the thing: do they really? I mean, mass firings, and let's not forget we have two major elections this year in New York, in New Jersey, and Virginia, and I think a shutdown will hurt Winsome Sears and Jack Chiarelli in New Jersey.
Well, you know what? No, I would say the opposite in this. If Democrats are blamed, then no, it doesn't hurt Winsome and it doesn't hurt Chiarelli.
I think with all the federal employees living in Fairfax County, that's my big fear.
Yeah, but that I think still hurts Democrats. I'll give you the example. I thought about this the other day, and I don't know what it was a shutdown. We had a budget issue. Cuccinelli's running against McAuliffe. The gap narrowed greatly, and I forgot what it was, but it was another issue, and Democrats and Obama were doing something bad in terms of threatening, which would hurt federal workers.
It was Obamacare is what it was. That's what kind of closed the gap there. Yeah. Obamacare.
It got close. And I'm just wondering if Democrats take the blame in this case. Yeah, you're right. Federal workers who usually vote Democrat are going to take a hit. But I mean, if Schumer pushes a shutdown and then Trump goes ahead and starts slashing, I would think it's going to hurt Democrats because then they're going to say that stupid Schumer with the shutdown.
Yeah, but
also... Go ahead.
My fear is this. Okay, you got the media. They're going to show those poor, crying government employees,
Oh, they always do, of course, yeah.
And I don't think it works anymore personally, but, there is that. We do need to keep that in the back of our mind because the Virginia and New Jersey race is a bellwether for next year, But then again, it could not be a bellwether for next year. I mean, I know a lot of people.
Maybe not, but Chiarelli in New Jersey is closed the gap.
Yeah,
you know how New Jersey is high.
So is Winsome Sears. She's like within 3 now.
Yeah, so Winsome has got a real shot. So I think we have a shot at both of them, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if Schumer wants to push this fight, I just don't think it's good for the party. I don't think Democrats are going to benefit. And we're coming into the closing stretch of both of those races. We just got a few more weeks now. So,
Yeah, and I think, by the way, let me ask you, Dave, since you're from Virginia.
Yeah.
Is there much ticket splitting? Like if you vote for, say, Abigail Spanberger,
yeah,
and then you vote for John Reed,
yeah,
and you vote for Jason Mraz. Does that happen, or do you think Democrats just go straight down D's?
We do have some ticket splitting, especially if the candidate's kind of known with their own following. In the case of Mraz, I would think he could benefit from ticket splitting because he's the incumbent, and I think people would know him. So you may have the moderate Democrats or people that have dealt with him who don't usually vote Republican that might vote for him. I mean, but for the most part, and I don't know. The other thing is, speaking of that, with John Reed as lieutenant governor candidate, he'd be the first gay, I guess, lieutenant governor or statewide official maybe we ever had openly gay. And I'm wondering if maybe you get some Democrat vote there for him. I don't know. I'm just speculating. But there's not usually much ticket splitting, but a little bit, but not usually too much is the answer to your question, I guess.
Yeah. And also the other thing, I think, why is Winsome Sears not on the air saying a vote for Abigail Spanberger is a vote for men in girls' locker rooms?
Well, she's trying to hit the issue, but I think for her it's a money issue as well. I think she's going to be she's being greatly outspent. But she is talking about the issue. And
the RPV can run ads like that for her. The RPV, the RGA. The RGA should basically just give her like a $20 million cash infusion right now.
Yeah, I agree. And especially since there are no limits on money in Virginia state races, so you can give as much as you want.
I love doing races in Virginia. There's no, if you get a receipt, you can give me $250,000.
That's right.
And we did collect $250,000 checks in the past.
Oh, yeah. I bet. I mean, we used to have some big time donors. George Allen, when he ran in '93, he was greatly outspent by Mary Suteri. But
Mary Suteri.
Mary Too Scary. But he had, I forgot the guy's name, maybe Lawrence Lewis, maybe. He was a big time donor to LI and other conservative causes. He helped fund Allen during that period of time when Allen could have gotten crushed by Terry after he got the nomination. But I think it was Lawrence Lewis helped fund him.
But I think every one of George's races has always been like an uphill battle. Like when he ran against Beverly Byrne or Beverly Byron, what's her name? It was Beverly something, right? That crazy woman.
Who?
She ran against him in Congress.
Well, that would be Kay Slaughter, his first race. Mary Sue Terry was the governor race.
Kay Slaughter, yeah, that's the one.
I never knew much about her. That was before I started really getting involved. But
they had a great commercial where she's basically there's a giant record chasing her down the hill. Why is Kay Slaughter running away from her record?
Okay. Yeah. Well, they should do the same thing with Spanberger because she had a solid liberal record in Congress. Mm-hmm. She was very much behind Biden on everything. So, yeah. But I think Winsome has a shot, and Spanberger, I've not been impressed. Everyone, they paint her as the moderate and all, and a good candidate. I just don't think she's that good of a candidate. I don't see it.
We hear that here because we're like, you're in Northern Virginia, we're here in Maryland, we're in the DC suburbs. Everyone thinks she can walk on water.
Yeah.
But if you go south of the Rappahannock, well, that's how it used to be, but south of the Rappahannock, I think she's probably, they don't like her radical Washington values.
Yeah.
If she's not in Washington, she's going to be in Richmond. And Richmond is not as crazy liberal as Baltimore is, or an
I think what will happen is Winsome will close. I think she'll continue to close. And I think on election day, I think she'll pull it out. I know most people don't say that, but I think she'll end up pulling it out at the end. So we'll see.
Yeah. A little bit about Maryland news, Don. I was at a event in Howard County the other night. Governor Ehrlich was the speaker there. Several people asked him, "Hey, are you going to run for governor?" And his response was, "Nothing's off the table. We're still looking at things. We'll do what's best for Maryland." So could it be Bob runs again in 2026 and wins? I mean, he cleaned up that mess Paris Glendenning left when he was governor, left the state with a surplus.
Yeah, I mean that would be great because I think we do need a strong candidate, and after they've jacked up all these fees, statewide, and then now Montgomery County is adding, another 100 or so, speed cameras. They're changing the speed camera fines, which are now going to be variable. The faster you go, the more you pay from the flat fee. There are a lot of people who are just not happy with any of this at all. It's just everywhere you look. I mean, even, we were paying, I think under Hogan, we went, our vehicle emissions inspections were reduced. The fee was reduced and the timing was reduced.
Yeah, like $8 or something like that. Yeah.
Well, it was $14 and $10 if you went to the self-service kiosk.
Yeah.
But now it's $30 and $26 if you go to the kiosk, and it doesn't seem like a lot because it's it's $30, but it used to be 14.
Well, Don, I remember it was less than, it was like $8. Wasn't it $8 prior to that? I remember it being $8 back in the early 90s.
It could have been at one time, and then it went up, and then Hogan got it back down, I think, and I think didn't we have to do that like every year, and then we went to every 2 years, which is a lot better.
And now I think aren't we back to every year because the state needs money?
No, we're not going back to every year. It's still a 2-year deal.
But they're just taking the money twice. They just doubled the price, so it may as well be every year.
Well, one of my things about the kiosk, they actually don't have many of those, right?
No, they don't. And I went to get my emissions done over Shady Grove Road. I go, by the way, for the next time, where is your? Oh, we don't have a kiosk.
Right. No. So if you go to the one over in Rockville area, right? The emissions effect. I was thinking that what they should be doing is that go ahead and have your full service lane, that for people who want that. But why not have 1 or 2 lanes for the, for the self-service, right? you know, I mean, it's only $4.
It's like an easy pass lane. They
People could just do their own. It's like choose. Do you want to, you know, you go to a grocery store. Do you want to do self checkout? Do you want to do regular checkout?
Yeah.
You know, Maryland could do that. They have a kiosk up at the Shady Grove, you know, MVA, right? On Gaithersburg MVA. So that's right by the gym I go to, and I'm like, I go up there. So I went there early on Monday. I go to the gym before 5. You know, the gym opens at 5. So I drove up there, and on Monday with my wife's car, which needs a test, and the message on the screen says remove credit card. You know, and it's like, so it's obviously something is wrong with it. It won't. It doesn't. There's no way to reboot the machine or anything like this. So that was Monday. I went back yesterday. Same problem. It hasn't changed. It's like, does anybody pay attention to this machine?
No, they don't. They don't care.
It's right outside the MVA.
I know.
So when Chris, when you get elected, make sure that they fix these things.
That list is growing. Believe me, I've been asked a lot of those type of questions.
You know, and I saw somebody on Nextdoor said, you know, this was a debate about this fee. They had been there about a week before I was, and you know, they had, you know, the machine worked fine. But you know, this is the MVA. I mean, they have one lonely machine at the MVA too. It's like,
why only one? Why not 6 of those? It's like if
you know, you make it so much easier for people to get if you're going to force them to get their vehicles tested, and most, you know, most modern late model cars are going to be just fine. They all pass for the most part, right?
Yeah. Now you don't even have to.
This is a money grab. This is, you know, we have to have this because federal regulations say we will lose our money if we don't do this. You know, Hogan already proved that, you know, you can do this every couple of years, and the feds are just fine with it. I'm sure the Trump administration get rid of this. Maybe this is something we should take up with the Trump. Do we really need these things?
I want President Trump to get rid of the cafe standards and these emissions mandates. You know.
Well, yeah, he's already kind of done that anyway, right? On the cafe standards. I mean, so yeah. I mean, this is something maybe the emission things are just kind of ridiculous with late model cars that have got catalytic converters, unless somebody's done something weird. You know,
remember Obama thought cars still needed tune-ups. Still remember that when he was.
But I did find out when I looked at the paperwork that if you're age 70 and drive 5,000 miles or less, you're exempt.
There you go.
So I'm like, all I have to do is live another 4 years, and I'm okay. It's just, I don't know. It's just crazy though. You know what we go through. I mean, you know. There was that post on Facebook by, you know, Wes Moore, you know, about complaining about PJM and the electricity and the grid and how much money they're charging for electricity. And, you know, I'm like, yeah, right. You're looking to pin the blame on something here, but can we please talk about, you know, your emissions test, the fact that you've just jacked up the car registration fees, you know, and everybody is now paying, you know, a lot more in property taxes because assessments are higher, and rather than trying to give us any relief by lowering the assessment rate, you just let that slide. So everybody collect, you know, the local government, the state government collects more money, and you know, we're just here drowning, you know, and paying taxes, things that he can take care of instead of trying to help us. You know, he's hurting us. And then on the other side, Moore's like, oh, but look, you know, we have to do something about PJM because our residents are being crushed. Yeah, well, look at property taxes. They're being crushed far more by.
Hey, we're gonna get that $40 back,
by increasing electricity rates.
Don, we're getting $40 back. You know, don't spend it all in one place.
There was some kind of credit on my electricity bill. I'm like, oh, wow, big whoop.
$40. You know, that's what 3 or 4 coffees at Starbucks now. You know, that's not even dinner for 2 at Guapos. By the way, here's another question, Don. Did Wes Moore do something with credit cards in Maryland? I tell you what, I had my oil change, and the first time, Sport Chevrolet Cadillac, they said if I used a credit card, they would have like a fee, like a 3% fee or
surcharge.
Yeah, for using a credit card. I thought only gas stations were, and I didn't think gas stations were allowed to do that because I thought there was a law passed.
They had eliminated that, but that thing, I think the restriction on that had been lifted. It wasn't necessarily something that the state did as much as the card companies allowed that. They have banned that, and they somehow managed to find a way around that. I know that community radiology, which is a huge company area doing imaging, all kinds of scans and stuff like that. They have just imposed a 3% surcharge on credit cards. It's okay if you got a debit card, but you got a credit card, you got to pay 3%.
It's a convenience thing, I don't like it. I really don't like it.
So all these companies had gotten by, and absorbed the credit card hit, right? As part of the cost of doing business. You kind of figure that it's priced into the system in terms of what they figure that most of their business is going to be done by credit card in the parts shop or the service shop. So you price your products accordingly because most people pay that way. Now it's like the price is still the same plus the surcharge. So we're basically going to pad the bottom line even more.
And here's the thing, Don. I remember, and when you take a car in for an oil change, you know what the price of an oil change now is, by the way, Don?
It depends upon where you go.
Yeah.
Okay, at the dealership.
Well, I think
100 plus.
Yeah, I think at Lexus is $100. Yeah.
Yeah, it's $116, right? And then you take your car to say, I remember when Jiffy Lube used to be $19.99 for an oil change.
Yeah, and you know what, Dwight? Now that you mention that, I every time I go there, it is. It's not quite $100, but it's a lot. And they always try to sell you on something else.
And that's one of the reasons I take it to the dealership, because it used to be only $15 more at the dealership, and at least at the dealership they're using a GM oil filter, not some off-market oil filter.
Well, the other thing is it's a racket in the sense that they control the oil you use. So cheap oil that can work, they'll tell you they don't sell. I was trying to get away from just synthetics, but they don't even sell them. You have to buy the synthetic now, and that's more expensive.
Well, here's something for you.
I just use the guy that's that's up the street from us. Their synthetic oil change, $60.
That's not bad.
It's a good price. It's the best price I found, and it's
is that the Citgo station by your house?
It's a family-run operation. They do a really good job.
Might be worth the drive out there actually to do that if they're going to do that for that much.
Shoot, I even took the car in because Costco had said that there was some rust around my tire rims or whatever, and they don't tell you this when you pick up the car. They just put in a report that they expect you to read. So I know now I have to read the report when the paperwork, and it says there's a potential risk that the wheel could fall off, right? And I'm like, okay, so you've just put the fear of God into me. I take it to this guy, and he looks at it, and they keeps it for an hour or so, and he calls me back up, and they basically blew out some rust or whatever and things like this, and he charged me $0 for doing that, which surprised me. I was expecting to pay him something, but I didn't expect that he would do it for free. I haven't even been a customer of his for about a year, so I give them credit for
building goodwill.
He is, that's true. They are building goodwill. They're smart business people when you can do that. Not easy to do when you're in Montgomery County.
No, it's not. Montgomery County, this is how wacky they are. You guys familiar with the toy exchange in Wheaton, Maryland? Now it's out in Mount Airy only. But he brought bags from home that he's already paid his nickel eclectic bag tax for, right? And he is giving those bags to his customers. He got busted by the county, And so it's funny. That's just how this. But I tell you, Sports Chevrolet Cadillac. Whenever I take my car over there, they actually tell me all the things that are wrong that I should fix or not fix. Luckily, I have not had them give me a long litany of list in years because I just take it in regularly now. So I think they catch the stuff, but Sports Chevrolet County, they take care of you really well there. And but I met the owner of the dealership last time I was there, which is kind of cool.
Notice how the show we do a little plugs for some of the local businesses here.
Yeah.
No, but that's $60. That's cheaper than it is for me to do it myself. Like putting synthetic oil in my truck, buying my own filter, and taking it back. That's a great deal. I mean, least you can do is give them a plug. I mean, that's really cheap.
Yeah. No, they and they're just it's just they're just a low key operation. You walk in there and it's like there's usually no one at the front desk, and I usually have to kind of poke around and look for the guy because he's somewhere, he's running around, as one of the owners, looking at cars, helping to do other things. So he's not just sitting behind the front desk all the time. He's hands on doing all kinds of stuff, and yeah, he's just a low key, very low key guy. Kind of an oddball in my opinion, but they run a good business, and they seem to be very, very busy. So we still got some time left, Dwight, but maybe we ought to talk about some of the news.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, we kind of did. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on. I mean, we have, BB was at the UN today, and a whole bunch of the Blame America First crowd people were walking out when BB started talking. And honestly, I stand with BB. They're going to finish the job, and the war will end when they say it ends, not when those terrorists say, well.
Trump gave a great speech. Speaking of the UN, Trump, I thought, gave a great speech.
Yeah, no, those are the moments where I love Trump. Okay, there's a lot of moments when I don't love Trump, but this one is when I love Trump because he goes to the UN and he just rips them to shreds.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I thought it was good and nice and politically incorrect, and he was. I
do agree with President Trump that I think the escalator was a sabotage thing, so he'd have to walk up the escalators.
Well, and the teleprompter. Remember, the teleprompter finally got fixed.
Oh, he doesn't need a teleprompter. He doesn't need a teleprompter.
Well, he read the speech. You're right.
Yeah, not only that though. It's just that the thing is that he. They're supposed to be lit. The reason they have that is they have a time limit, right? That they're supposed to be speaking for, right? You break the if you purposely break the teleprompter on Trump, you have now basically given him a license to go on, and he has no problem going on because that guy can speak forever. So
he did a speech at CPAC that was 4 hours long.
If somebody tried to sabotage his teleprompter, somebody at the UN probably should fire him because that just gave him more room to sit there and criticize him. I mean, it's great. I mean, it's like, please tell me, what is the purpose of the UN, right? Yeah, I mean, the Trump administration has already put them into crisis mode because they're withholding money, right? This is an organization it's a mess. It's in trouble, and they've got we've got permanent members of the Security Committee that are now standing up. You mentioned Netanyahu that are basically saying, we recognize a Palestinian state. It's like, okay, so you guys are all saying you want a two-state solution. Hamas doesn't really even want a two-state solution. They want to get rid of Israel. They don't want two states. They just want the whole thing, and they want Israel gone. They want Jews gone. So what a bunch of BS.
Very true. I mean, it's really ridiculous, frankly. The way they keep doing these dumb things, and here's the thing, Israel has tried peace. They've bent over backwards for peace. Let's not give peace one more chance. Let's give war a chance, frankly. Let's give war a chance to bring peace.
We do have the Department of War now, so
yes, we do. Here's the thing. Everyone is all. I know a lot of the lefties are all outraged, but before I guess it was Harry Truman or Eisenhower that changed it from the war, because it was the War Department in World War II. If you watch those old Wonder Woman Linda Carter shows, she was working at the War Department.
Yeah, it was that way until the 50s. I think under Truman, I think it
was it Truman or Eisenhower?
Yeah, one or the other. But it was always this Department of War.
And the logic was they go, Well, it's better to say defense than war. You know.
Okay.
I go.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I always kind of like the British, the Ministry of Defense thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They spell defense differently than we do.
That's right. Yeah, right. Exactly.
Don't they also have a Ministry of Peace
I
too
always,
in the
always
Empire?
find the UK and the British kind of interesting in that regard.
Yeah. I used to read, reminds me of, I would read The Economist magazine, and it's the British spelling in there.
Yeah.
And so it messed up my spelling in some ways.
Yeah.
Well, I tell you, Dave,
But teacher, professor, I read about it in The Economist.
Yeah, that's right.
But didn't Dan Quayle spell potato the British way with an E?
What was that?
Dan Quayle, he spelled potato the English way, I think.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Yeah, because I've seen potatoes spelled that way too. Yeah. Yes.
And poor Dan. Poor Dan.
That was so unfair. And speaking of vice presidents, look at what Kamala Harris was able to get away with, and her book. And then her claim is that
didn't have enough time.
Huh?
Didn't have enough time.
Yeah. And here's the problem with that. And I wrote a column on this one. Here's the problem with that one. She was ahead for a while in the campaign, and then she slipped and lost. So she can't say, I just needed more time, because there was a time when she was ahead. So if the election after she debated Trump, that's when I think her poll numbers started slipping. Yeah, you know what else I think?
And they said she won that debate too, which is funny.
And I think maybe it was Don who pointed out that VP debate was the beginning of the end for the Dems. Walz got crushed in that debate, and then things started moving Republicans' way.
If anything, she had too much time. You know, she was doing her best whenever she wasn't actually out doing interviews.
Yeah, it's a lot like in Maryland.
The more you saw of Kamala, the worse it got. The worse it was for her, right?
I mean, Don, that's kind of like what happened in Maryland in 2022 with our primary. They kept pushing the primary. If we had the primary in March, like they originally planned, Kelly Schultz would have won, hands down. Okay. They kicked it down to May. And then the primary didn't happen until July of 2022. And that's where I kind of, it was kind of like, the writing was on the wall, because the Cox people had all that momentum. And the DNC did a big mailing for Dan Cox too.
Yeah.
So,
but I mean, Harris and the whole thing about just, I think you have in your column too. We just, Dave too, talking about, she wasn't nominated, right, by normal standards for that. She was handed. Nobody voted for her for the nomination. She was given the nomination because Biden drops out. Now she goes and her recollections, her memoir, this 107 Days book is whatever she can do to try to make herself look good and throw blame on the Democrat Party, Joe Biden, throw him under the bus, this poor old guy now. And, and even I think too, I think you mentioned in your column, David, the whole thing about picking Walz as the VP, right? Apparently she wanted Pete Buttigieg, but she wasn't.
But she couldn't have a gay guy on there. She could have a gay guy. Remember?
I think that's a miscalculation on their part too. There's like, I don't really necessarily buy that argument just because you have this, this black woman at the top of your ticket. She had been the vice president, so she was kind of a known quantity anyway. And Buttigieg had been in the cabinet. It's like you have two people that are completely unknown. So we already knew he was openly gay and the whole 9 yards. How would America deal with it? Democrats would still vote for that ticket.
I don't think America would have cared. They care more of the fact that under Pete Buttigieg's watch, we had the meltdown at the airports under his watch as transportation secretary. Where was he? He was out on maternity leave when that happened, or whatever they call it.
Learning to. Well, a couple of things I mentioned in the column about this situation. Number one, people don't vote for vice president anyway. Right. Number two, it's kind of rich for her to talk about Buttigieg bringing down the ticket when he ran for president in 2019 and she did. He did very well. She did poorly. She dropped out before Iowa. He I think won Iowa. He got closer to the nomination, pretty close. And yet she thinks he is going to bring her down. That doesn't make any sense. to me. And
go
the
ahead.
other thing is, one last point is that, when she says this, I think the country is already, is it based on any data or any information? It's not. It's just her political instincts, right? And her political instincts are pretty horrible, as we saw.
Yeah, I think she was afraid she was going to get upstaged. I think had she brought on Buttigieg or Shapiro, they would have seemed more presidential. They would have seemed more competent. And I think her concern was the optics of being the front of the ticket and actually having the person that she selected upstage her, because either one of them would have been a better candidate.
Yeah, she had to pick
I think there's something to be said for that, Chris, because like both those guys, I mean, at least Shapiro, and they would have been better on the stump. They can give speeches. I think they would have been more presentable. Yeah. But as the presidential candidate, you don't want to be upstaged by your VP, and that could very well have happened. I mean, a debate between Walz and Vance, that wasn't a contest. Buttigieg would have put up a much better fight against Vance in a 100%. VP debate. Josh Shapiro would have done much better overall too. So she made her own miscalculations in that campaign. But but the longer she stayed in, I think was the bigger point, was just that the more she stumbled, the more people saw how she just was not competent to do this. The continual word salad kind of thing, where what did you just say? Just kind of went round and around and around. It's like,
right.
We don't even know what you're saying. World leaders don't know what you're saying. Nobody knows what you're saying.
Her cackling also kind of turned people off as well.
Yeah.
And also, I think, the biggest, and she just wanted somebody that was dumber than her. Most times you pick people that are smarter than you to be around you, not people that are dumber than you. That's the only reason I can think for her picking Homer Simpson. I don't want to insult Homer Simpson, though, by saying that he's Tim Walz. But here's the story.
I think he's more like Elmer Fudd, though. Excuse me. I think he's more like Elmer Fudd than Homer Simpson.
Hey, that's Warren Christopher. Okay. Remember Warren Christopher?
I do. I thought he's a lot like Elmer Fudd, especially when he had his gun. Didn't he look like Elmer Fudd?
I think there's something to be said. It's difficult if you're not secure in your intellect or your position it's hard for you to be around people that are smarter than you. And I think she felt a certain amount of insecurity. And I see that across the Democrat Party at times. They have trouble setting the conditions for other people to succeed because ultimately they're viewing the issue through a lens of vulnerability. They're viewing it through a lens of insecurity, and it drives them to this lower common denominator where it's from them down rather than looking from the position they're in and setting for conditions people that are maybe going to go do better than them. And I think that was part of her insecurity, that she felt that she would be upstaged and she was insecure about that. And she went with the person that would balance the ticket and make her look like her word salad and cackle was not all that bad.
Yeah, and look, her word salad, I think a large part of it is just kind of what you're going to here is that, you talk about the intellect. She wasn't sure. She doesn't know how to answer a lot of these questions or how to handle a lot of these issues. So if she just goes on this kind of this rambling thing, she tries to find a way to get her way out of that, and the media is very complicit, with this whole thing. They'll be nodding their head and they'll just go along with it and they won't call her on the carpet for the things that she says. So she kind of thinks, okay, I can get away with this, just by saying something for 3 minutes, but not saying anything for 3 minutes. And they can move on to the next question where I might actually know something.
I also think time hurt her in. The more time went by, the more time she didn't have a press conference. She didn't do real interviews. And people notice that, I think. People are wondering, well, why aren't you...
And don't forget that 60 Minutes interview where they had to edit the hell out of it to make her look halfway intelligent.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Did Trump win that lawsuit? Didn't he sue? Did Trump try to sue on that one?
I think
Trump did. Look, Trump is on a roll. The way this administration has been is just that, much to the horror of the liberals, is just that they've gone ahead and they've just, kind of plowed right through things, and they've used the threat of, we're not going to allow a merger to go through. Potentially, we're going to take a close look at this, stuff like this. So you're CBS. Paramount and Skydance wanted to merge. It was better to pay Trump off, give him some money for his future library, so that you get hopefully favorable reaction to that. And voila, they did, right? I mean, look at the whole Jimmy Kimmel thing. Part of the equation here is, Nexstar wants to buy Tegna and continue to just build up their TV empire.
Tegna is the CBS affiliate here, right? That's the old USA Today, right? Tegna.
That's one of them. Yeah. It was a spinoff out of Gannett initially.
Okay. Was Gannett, so USA Today, did they own Gannett, or does Gannett own USA Today?
No, Gannett was the parent company of USA Today.
Okay. Are they even around anymore, by the way? Speaking of USA Today,
USA Today still has. USA Today is still around. I mean, I know they publish online.
Because I haven't seen their mail. I have not seen those newspaper dispensers anywhere.
Yeah, I don't know how many they're printing anymore. Because who reads newspapers? The physical newspapers. That's part of the.
Chloe, I do like the physical paper.
Well, I think the physical paper can be great, but I mean, it's how much money do you want to spend on that versus just getting it online?
That's true too.
So that's people are very mobile. They don't want newsprint in their house or whatever. I mean, I get the Wall Street Journal delivered to my house, but
I still read the paper, the National Review, the magazine. I still read that. Yeah, I get that.
But Jimmy Kimmel's back on the air, so all those lefties, that last week they were all whining about how President Trump did this. So did President Trump get Jimmy Kimmel back on the air? Jimmy Kimmel was taken off the air because of Donald Trump. So doesn't it make sense to say that he's back on the air because the benevolence of President Trump let him come back on the air? I mean, if Trump got him off, how did he get back on without Trump's permission? Liberals. Makes sense of that.
Did he apologize? Why did they bring him back on the air?
He apologized. He apologized. He was remorseful. He was kind of emotional. I mean, he was also somewhat defiant. And he had Robert De Niro on the program, who went ahead and blasted, Brendan Carr. I mean, we saw Ted Cruz, say after the show went off the air initially that, FCC Commissioner Brendan Carr, and Trump, I mean, in essence, were wrong about the threat of pulling their broadcast licenses of these networks. Because Trump really, I think he went too far. He's like, they said bad things about me. I think
you're a public official. Get used to it. That happens.
It's like, hey, this happens. Every president gets criticized by the media sooner or later, right? I mean, it's like, you're not going to pull a license over that. This is dumb. This is stupid. They have a right under the First Amendment to say what they want to say. They're not going out there and saying, go kill him. They're not saying, go bomb the country. Let's have an insurrection. So they're protected basically by the First Amendment. But Trump seems to be running a little bit roughshod in some of these areas with that. But Kimmel's back on the air. Look, this whole brouhaha benefited Kimmel in the end. Mm-hmm. He had a record ratings the night he returned. He had something like 4 times as many people watch his program than normally do. And this is for a genre, late night talk, that is virtually dead. It's dying. It's really, really dying.
And here's the thing, Don, also, Sinclair is not like ABC 7 in DC is owned by Sinclair Station. They are not running Jimmy Kimmel. Nexstar stations, I think, are not running Jimmy Kimmel.
I think the Nexstar stations went ahead and agreed to go back in. Yeah. Initially they didn't, but I think they've gone ahead and done.
Still off on Sinclair though. Sinclair doesn't care. They're running reruns of Nightline or something like that.
Yeah. So it's I don't think whether or not Jimmy Kimmel stays on the air or not, it's going to be a big deal for, like, say, the Nexstar merger. I mean, Jimmy Kimmel's contract comes up, I think, next May. and he may be wanting to move on and do something else anyway. So I think this is a short-term issue, in the end. So yeah, I mean, I just think back to the days when I first saw Jimmy Kimmel on Win Ben Stein's Money, as a sidekick, and he was hilarious.
Yeah.
Anybody watched that? That program was hilarious, and Jimmy Kimmel was funny as heck. I had no idea who this young guy was, but he was funny.
That's before he contracted Trump derangement syndrome.
Well, that would have been way before Trump. Came up.
No, but I'm saying he contracted that just like a lot of lefties, and our one of our star writers, Ian Schwartz, said they've got a cure for Trump. It's called open minds, and free thinking is the vaccine for Trump derangement syndrome.
One day we should do a whole show on who's the worst case of Trump derangement syndrome. Bob De Niro might be number one, but I don't know. We can go
I think it's Ellen DeGeneres or Rosie O'Donnell.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah,
isn't her show getting canceled now too? Like they're not renewing her show.
Who's?
Ellen DeGeneres.
I didn't know she was still on TV.
I thought
I didn't either.
I thought she finished her show. Was finishing.
Yeah, I thought it was done like years ago. I thought.
Okay.
She was actually kind of funny for a time. I remember her at one point.
That was before she came. I think when she went all political. Like remember she had that TV show on ABC.
Yeah.
And then she made a big deal about coming out as gay. Like who cares, frankly?
Yeah.
I mean, they had gay people on television. Bill Crystal, first gay person on television on Soap. I don't know if you guys remember that show. It was done by the same people that brought us Golden Girls. And Benson.
Ellen DeGeneres. The final episode was May of 2022.
Oh, okay. She's been gone for a while. Okay.
Yeah, I mean that was a planned event too. I mean they had announced that, in 2021. I think it was. That's why.
Yeah, I heard she was like a real dragon to work for too. She was.
I heard that too. Yeah, she was like John McLaughlin to work for.
Unlike our boss, Paul Weyer, who was a perfect angel and positive delight to work with.
Weyer was good. But you guys heard that story of John McLaughlin? I always heard all these stories that working for him was horrible.
Well, we could turn this into our version of McLaughlin Report.
Exactly.
Wrong.
Yeah. We'll just make Dave the John McLaughlin.
The correct answer is remember how he would end with bye bye.
Yeah.
Jack Germond. We went to a taping of the McLaughlin Group. I did not realize how short Jack Germond was. He didn't look that short on television, but he's not that tall.
Well,
he was wide.
Well, I mean, by the way, Bob Novak, unless you saw him in person, you would not know that he was heavy set too.
Yeah, Bob Novak was short too.
Yeah, but he was also very heavy too. Also.
Yeah, he was. But Jack Germond was a Maryland guy because remember he was in the Baltimore Sun. I believe.
Yeah, he was with the Baltimore Sun. Yeah, Evening Sun actually where he started.
Okay.
And now we have no Sun. The Sun is they got a paper called not a paper but a blog that has replaced the Sun called the Baltimore Banner, which is even to the left of the Baltimore Sun.
Oh wow!
And now they're encroaching into Montgomery County by having a Montgomery Banner.
Oh wow!
Is that what that Montgomery Banner thing is? I've seen that pop up.
Yeah, it's like but our friend Shelley Skolnick's running for county executive. Yay, Shelley, go for it.
Good for him.
Tell them you're going to stop the purple line because they're not calling it the burgundy line.
Oh.
All right, look at the clock, Dwight.
I know. End of the show. Okay, final thoughts. We'll start with you, Chris. Tell us what you're doing this weekend also, where people can come out and see you and help you.
No, I appreciate that. And I'm glad to be back on. I really enjoy this. But tomorrow I'll be out in Garrett in Allegheny all day. I'm going to be running first I'm doing a stop on the way out in Cumberland, running a 5K at 11, marching in a parade at noon, and then going to the Allegheny Lincoln Reagan dinner tomorrow night. Only to do it again on Sunday minus the 5K. But the one that I did want to share with you is on Monday night at Dutch's Daughter up in Frederick. I've got Roscoe Bartlett coming out as my special guest for the event. He's going to speak to the group, and then we're going to kind of do a question and answer. but that's Dutch's daughter on Monday at 6 o'clock.
That's a major get. Roscoe Bartlett has been living off the grid. Did you have to like
I know, really,
signals?
seriously, it's like, how did you get a hold of him?
Smoke signals up?
Let me share this with you. I got a meeting with him. It was supposed to be 30 minutes. 4.5 hours later, he had told me stories of, I couldn't believe the detail. And he is 100 years old. He hit the 100-year mark.
Whoa.
And he was telling me stories down to the day, minute, who was there, what they talked about, some of the ups and downs of running for Congress, CD6, his career before Congress. It was amazing. I can't wait until Monday.
Wow.
Roscoe's a good guy. Maybe we should do a state tribute to Roscoe Bartlett. He's 100, celebrating a centennial celebration.
You better do it fast, Dwight.
And we'll have to send smoke signals to invite or let him know where the event's going to be.
Well, he's got a farm up in Frederick. That's how I caught up with him. And he's going to be here on Monday. So he agreed to come out.
Oh, good. Is Ellen coming, his wife, too?
She may not be able to join us.
She ran for council, but she only lost by like 10 or 15 votes.
Yeah.
How old is she? Because if he's 100.
I think she's late 80s. I want to say he has a few years on her.
Wow.
But I don't think she's going to be able to join us. I think she's not getting around as quickly as she had been.
All right, so she's older than 27.
He robbed the cradle.
It's a spring fall, relationship.
But Roscoe is as sharp as you could be.
He's
got
very
10 years.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it is.
But thanks. That's all I had.
That's all you have? Okay. Are you done? Are you glad that parade season's over?
Yes and no. I mean, like, we're walking in one tomorrow after the 5K, but it's a great way to get out.
I don't know if you go away for Thanksgiving, but there is I think in Silver Spring or Bethesda, they do a Thanksgiving Day parade. You should try getting into that.
And I walk with my kids usually. They're not going to be with me tomorrow, but to take my 4 kids out in the parade has been great. I mean, I've really enjoyed that part of, being out and meeting people with my family. So that I've enjoyed it.
Don? Well, actually, Dave, final thoughts.
Well, hopefully it'll be a good weekend. Check out my latest Substack. Don was mentioning some of the points I made about Kamala and her book. And hopefully I'll get another one up this week. That's about it. Or this weekend. Certainly during the week. This weekend, hopefully I'll get another call.
Final thoughts, Don Irvine.
Final thoughts. Just want to, we had the Charlie Kirk memorial service on Sunday. Tremendous outpouring from people that attended the event, as well as all across the country. There was a guy that I knew back in the old days when I used to go out to California, was involved in California politics, and he was there, and he would put on Facebook the situation as he was trying to get in, and it was like, he was in a car, and it was just jam packed, trying to get a car to the parking lot, and it's a first come first serve type of thing like this. So people had been camped out for hours to get in. A pretty good event overall. I think Erica Kirk was fabulous. I think she probably attracted a lot of attention as a result of, she forgave the shooter, but it's going to be, TPUSA will never be the same. Erica Kirk will do her best to take up Charlie's mantle, but Charlie Kirk was unusual, was just this unique individual. The Republican Party has been, in essence, looking for another Ronald Reagan, since Ronald Reagan left office, and never really found one. TPUSA will be looking for another Charlie Kirk, but I don't know if they're going to be able to find one. But they've had a surge of interest in establishing more chapters around the country. So good for them. And I think even also for people who are faith-based, this has been a great moment in the sense of this event had faith-based, a lot of pastors and things like that spoke, as well as conservative leaders, as well as a lot of members of the cabinet, including President Trump. So a very unusual event for a president to take part in. But how deeply affected he was by the death of Charlie Kirk, and how much Charlie Kirk really helped the MAGA movement. I mean, I think he just just saw that throughout all of this, all this tragedy that occurred.
And Don, look how much classier we did this event on our side compared to. Do you remember when Paul Wellstone died in a plane crash? And they had that big Wellstone Memorial pep rally, where they kind of anointed Walter Mondale as the stand-in for Wellstone. Also, I remember when he died too. I don't think anyone I knew on our side said, "Hey, this means we're going to take the majority of the Senate." Nobody said that. Nobody said, "Good, Wellstone's gone." Rudy Boschwitz can come back and reclaim his Senate seat. But I mean, we just handle things with, I think, more class than the Democrats do. While the Democrats who basically, do nothing but belittle, basically trash, and they say things that you don't say about the dearly departed, frankly. And
it's not, and the unfortunate part about all this too, though, is just the number of people who have who vilified Charlie Kirk, who just had kind of like you said, celebrate his death, and especially those in the education field. I mean, there's been numerous reports of teachers, other educators, professors, whatever, that have and out there have said things to their students or have posted things on social media that were negative reaction to Charlie Kirk's death, and just kind of vilifying him and what he stood for. I mean, how many times we have to, people say, "Oh, he was a Nazi," et cetera, and all these things. And so, that was the downside of this, unfortunately. But hopefully, a lot of people were brought together by all of that. Also, CNN's Harry Enton, who's kind of their poll guy. Bad news for the Democrats. He showed a poll. He had to put up a poll the other day that showed that Republicans were still well ahead of Democrats on immigration, on the economy. Things that the Democrats may. I think they improved a little bit on the economy. But they've fallen further behind on immigration. So he summed it up by saying that whatever the Democrats are doing, it's not working. So here we are in late September, almost October. There'll be a midterm election in November of next year, and the Democrats, Harry Enton is basically saying, you guys are still in trouble. You have very little time to put together a program if you think you're going to try to recapture the House or the Senate in 2026. And based on what he's putting up there with poll numbers like that on issues, it's looking pretty bleak. So also the end of the baseball season is almost here. The teams are just about ready for the playoffs.
Good job, Orioles.
Well, they salvaged their season though. They finished stronger than I thought they would.
And they played spoiler at the end.
Yeah, and there's still a couple of things that haven't been decided yet, but congratulations to the Seattle Mariners who won the AL West.
They're not going to go much farther. They're not going to make it to the series.
Well, that's who know. No one really knows anymore, because basically, if you look at baseball, and if you're honest about this, in either league, there's no team that is so dominant that they are going to have an easy path to the World Series.
They're not the old 70s and 80s Dodgers.
Whoever gets hot, starting next month, that'll be it, because all the teams they've had some pretty ups and downs during the year. So we'll see.
That's happening in sports. Even in football, we don't have those dynasty football. Like the Patriots will go back to back to back, the Dolphins. We don't even have that anymore, even in football. Granted, I don't watch football enough to care anymore. But, baseball, we don't have the same dynasties we used to have as well. And I think it's the DH rule, because now the DH, I think that's the reason why we're not seeing these dynasties or dynasties, as the Europeans would call it.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, this, a lot of these sports leagues have gone for parity. And so as a result of that, you do get a lot of teams that are more evenly matched and not as dominant as they used to be. I mean, look, I mean, yeah, you've talked about football. I mean, the Chiefs are off to a bad start, right? So who knows what happens with there? I don't know. I mean, I don't know I don't know what we'll see in the NFL either. But I don't watch the NFL. I watch the scores, but not the teams.
Yeah, same here. And I cannot believe how many hours I wasted watching. There's so much more other productive stuff we can do.
That's right. All right. Anyway, it is your turn. Back to you, Dwight.
Okay. Hey, Don, do you remember President Nixon?
Yep. I met President Nixon.
You met President Nixon?
Post his post-presidency, yeah.
Oh,
met him at San Clemente. He invited my father to come see him.
Mm-hmm.
So we were in San Clemente.
You see this? That's Bob Woodward and Carl Burns. They started the He-Man Nixon Haters Club. Douglas Brinkley, I don't know if he's related to David Brinkley at all, but he's an alleged historian, author. He went on CBS's morning show talking about how President Nixon went after his enemies with the IRS. Actually, no, he did not, Mr. Historian. He wanted to, but wiser people in his circle said, no, Mr. President, that's a bridge too far to audit your enemies. But evidently, don't let the facts get in the ways of the Nixon haters out there. Let me tell you, the Democrats still have not gotten over President Nixon. Basically, you heard of Trump. They still have Nixon derangement syndrome. And then they got Trump derangement syndrome on top of that. And, they basically can't accept the fact that President Nixon won 2 terms and cleaned your boy George McGovern's clock twice.
Yeah, my souvenir from that meeting was that he was so nice. He had pictures taken of us individually with him, and then
well, you got to share that picture, Don.
Then he autographed them and sent them to us. So
I guess I could use AI and create a picture of me and Richard Nixon. I used AI to create a picture of me and Spiro Agnew. Although Spiro Agnew and I sort of became pen pals. I wrote him a letter, and he sent me a nice picture and a copy of his book when I was at Maryland. He autographed the picture. It's probably one of my prized possessions, I should say. But Democrats still have Nixon derangement syndrome, and they do meet somewhere, probably in some a vacant office at USAID for their He-Man Nixon Haters Club. And for those of you who don't get that, it's our Little Rascals reference. But on top of that, we had a great red, white, and blue dinner. Chris, what did you think? Well, that was your first red, white, and blue dinner, right? What did you think?
I thought it was a great night. Really enjoyed the speech. Really enjoyed the atmosphere.
Secretary Zeldin gave a good speech.
Great night.
Yeah. And did you get a picture with Lee, by the way, for yourself?
I did not. It was sort of a frantic pace to get around and meet everybody, and I didn't actually get a chance to get a picture with him. But all together, great night.
By all the other candidates who were running in CD6, Chris was the only candidate from CD6 at that dinner. You may have been the only candidate there. I don't think there were many other the congressional or gubernatorial candidates there.
No, come to think, I didn't remember seeing any others. But quite frankly, I wasn't really paying much attention to that. I wasn't too worried what they were doing.
But remember candidates. Oh, another thing, Don. Okay, they raised the price on these peanut M&Ms again. It's like $4. I'm glad I gave up.
But you weren't eating candy anyway.
I'm not. I am not. This is actually a bag I bought last year. It's like those alcoholics who keep a bottle of scotch around to look at or just remind them. But I think next year I may give up cookies altogether too. Like I don't even miss the no candy anymore. So But anyways, that's about it. We'll see everyone next week. Good night.
Thanks a lot.
Good night.
Good night.
See you.
Good night.
Let's go down to Masoni's, where Italian cuisine shines. Let's go down to Masoni's, we'll have a good old time. Homemade pasta at Masoni's, sauces fresh and fine. Good friends gather at Masoni's, join us anytime. Taste the pizza at Masoni's, with flavor so divine. Bring your good times, appetite, join us anytime. Homemade ice cream at Masoni's, freshly churned each time. Bring your laughter and your friends, joy is what you'll find.